And yeah, number two, because I don't think a lot of people were actually injured in the crash. I think it was just that a lot of people were held up.
Winner gets Biascrane, another Dane. Obviously, I'll be happy about that. That's five Danish victories, I think, now in this Giro d'Italia. And great win from EF Education Easy Post, adding to the Rich Carapaz win they've had already. So already EF Education Easy Post are having a great time. But yeah, I mean, out of the GC riders, who's really going to be worried about this? It does turn into a GC episode. It's despite being the flat row profile, but who's the ones who's lost out the most here, would you say, in the GC?
I think primarily Ciccone. I can't remember exactly where he was at the start of the day. I'm not sure if he was inside the top 10, but he was looking like he got through the TTs and he was climbing really well. So it looked like he was destined to kind of rise up in this last week, let's say. So I'd say that Ciccone is the main one for me. Tiberi as well, falling from third place where he was actually looking pretty, quite good actually, I would say. Dropping down to eighth, like he lost him and Adam Yates lost a minute 44, like almost 2 minutes. That's a lot of time to be given up, considering that was, they were on the podium and could essentially play a bit more of a defensive race. Now they need to gain like a minute or so at least. So it's going to be really hard for them to do that. So I think that's a big loss for Tiberi. And you could say honestly like Ayuso actually. Like, okay, yeah, Roglic lost time, but Ayuso, considering the UAE Team Emirates dynamic of Ayuso was close. So if he was better than Del Toro in this last week, he'd be like, okay, well, you're only 30 seconds behind. You kind of fight for your own thing. But now that he's a minute and 26 behind Del Toro, how does that play into the UAE Team Emirates dynamics? Like, is it Del Toro, because he's got enough of a buffer, is now like the primary leader? And because Ayuso is a minute 26 behind him and doesn't have that bigger of an advantage over Carapaz or like Roglic, like only a minute, maybe Del Toro gets more leadership hierarchy here.
Yeah, not quite the stage where I thought it would have flipped, but yeah, I mean, they have to go with the strongest card. There can't be emotion here. It needs to maybe, I mean, you still need to consider having Ayuso up there because Del Toro has never been in a third week as a GC rider or a contender. So that is going to be quite, well, interesting to see how he deals with that. Yeah, he's very young, as we know. Reportedly, there's going to be renegotiations about his contract as well if he finishes on the podium. So, yeah, there's a lot of incentive for him. I don't think we've ever had a Mexican finish on the Giro d'Italia podium as well. Stage 15 is the first big test, and then that final week is super serious in terms of climbs and stuff. Yeah, what do you think? Do you think Del Toro is the best card to go with, or should they still have that kind of dual leadership between the two of them?
I think they still need to go with a dual leadership because Del Toro can just play the defensive game now. Ayuso is still ahead of Roglic by 57 seconds. So you just play the two card strategy and you just have, the people around Ayuso who are in a similar ballpark. You got Yates, Simon Yates, and Carapaz, let's say. Roglic is a little bit further back than Derek G, but I'd say that, you can still use Ayuso here in like a two-pronged strategy to cover moves and to then like not work with attacks. Or people who attack or trying to attack Del Toro if Del Toro's in trouble. I think you got a perfect scenario here where Ayuso can play a defensive role. I'm not sure if that's exactly what he would like. I think he would obviously be liking to try and win the race for himself, but from the UAE Team Emirates team perspective, I think Del Toro, yes, he's unproven, but so was Pogacar in 2019 in the Vuelta when he went to his first Grand Tour and he finished in third place. These guys are going to have their breakthrough performance at some point, and this might be Del Toro's.
Is this where I remind you what you reminded me of, that it's actually his second Grand Tour? He's been to the Vuelta last year. You reminded me of that, so I'm just giving it back to you.
No, yeah. Yeah, you're just returning the favor. I appreciate it. You got to keep us on the straight and narrow.
I mean, well, let's go on to this Melissa bike because I was very impressed by the absolute hammering that they did, while it's been looking like he's picking up form as well, like very close to Mess Pilson, taking the stage win as we talked about. But I mean, Simon Yates, he's on the virtual podium right now. So that Visma Lisa bike effect.
Yeah, it's intriguing because I didn't have Yates on my kind of scorecard of podium candidate based on how he's been going this year, but he's had the rather like innocuous, just stealthy Giro so far where nothing's gone like wrong. He's just kind of avoided catastrophe here and there, and it's like okay, he hasn't like gained the time that Del Toro did in the gravel stage, but he hasn't just really put that much of a foot wrong, and consequently, he's finished up in second place. It's just like okay, fair enough. How much confidence do I have in him in the mountains? I'm still not too sure, to be honest. I still think that, you know, it's hard to say because Roglic has come down enough times where he's saying that he's got pain or Ayuso's got pain in his knee from his crash. So kind of the big two favourites are wounded in some way. Maybe Yates can steal a march here and finish on a Grand Tour podium for the first time since, was it 2019? Was that his last Grand Tour podium?
I
Well,
think
when he
2021.
won the Vuelta.
Yeah, I think 2021 with the Egan Bernal victory with him and Caruso.
Yeah,
But I mean,
it's been a
imagine if he won the Giro with Del Toro doing a 2018 Yates and like completely diving out in on the penultimate stage, and then full circle for Simon Yates, who loves this race as well.
yeah. That is really interesting to see where he might end up now. I don't want to like start screaming like, oh, he's going to finish on the podium or win or whatever, because I still think that the reason why he's where he is isn't necessarily because of pure climbing ability. It's just because he's avoided catastrophe. We'll see how his climbing legs actually are in the next week.
Yeah, what do you make of the final week now? Do you think it's going to absolutely obliterate this top 10 that we have right now? So, well, looking at the top 10, who's kind of someone you're a bit wary about? I mean, Tiberi, like you said earlier, he lost a lot of time. 5 places down in the GC. G moving up. I mean, Pidcock is hovering in 11th place. So stage grabbing Pidcock never really happened, but I think they are kind of trying the GC game in some respect.
It's interesting to think about how it's going to go because in theory, UAE team Emirates don't need to do anything, do they? Like, realistically. Although, have they? They haven't had a stage win yet, no? Del Toro hasn't won yet. Ayuso hasn't won. Unless I'm pulling an absolute brain fart. I don't think they've won a stage yet. Essentially, my point being, who's going to pace the mountain stages? Who's going to be keen enough to do that? Because, no, Visma Lisa bike kind of don't have like a lot of mountain support. So how much pressure can they put on for Simon Yates? If UAE want stage win, they can pace to go get a stage win with a Maya Rosa. That'll be pretty cool. Or with Ayuso, whatever.